Pin trading around Disney is quite the racket, and it has its own jargon. So in this video, I'm going to briefly break down some of these terms and help you get started on your pin trading journey. Hi friends, Laura Kromzak here with the Disney Slowdown. It has taken me too long to understand pin trading. And so I wanted to help you get started if you've been curious and you've seen all these videos and what are they talking about? Are there really fake pins around Disney? What does scrappers mean? And what is this wave pin everybody keeps talking about? And then trading diamond for diamond? First of all, Disney is celebrating 25 years of pin trading. That's a lot of pins. So when you purchase a bag of pins, you are not necessarily going to get diamond pins. What does that mean? Disney started putting an emblem on the back of the pins to try to alleviate the problem of counterfeit pins, which we will talk about in a minute because I don't quite understand this. To try to keep the fake pins out of the market, they have this distinguishing diamond mark on the back. Now that just started, I think it was about summer of 24, and there are still pins being sold in Disney that are older than that diamond mark. So when you come across somebody and they say, I will only trade for a real pin, or I will only trade for a diamond pin, they are specifically looking for any pin that has that mark because they believe that that makes it authentic and nothing else is valid, even though you could have purchased a blind bag of like the sleeping set that came out in 22, but they're still being sold in the Disney parks. That's part of the reason why I'm doing this video, because I think that people don't totally understand what's going on in this pin trading world, and it's really not all that. Just my personal opinion. But I'm going to break it down and you decide. Are there really fake pins in Disney? I mean, I have a conspiracy theory. With any product that's made, it's designed in one location, and then the design and maybe even a prototype is sent to a manufacturer somewhere else, and then this item is mass reproduced. I mean, these machines are just cranking out. Clothing, shoes, toys, trinkets. I would say the majority of items that we own are probably go through that process. Disney pins are no different. They're designed and created, then they're commissioned to a manufacturer, and once all these pins are created, they have to go through a quality check. And just like clothing that may not be stitched properly, or the dye lot is wrong on the fabric, these pins can fail quality measures. Maybe the color didn't come out correctly. Maybe the enamel isn't as smooth, or it didn't fill up all the way. That's entirely possible. Those pins are rejected and not put in these bags to be sold by Disney, but they still make their way into the secondary market. They aren't fake. They were rejected for quality. Because honestly, a counterfeiter would be better at their job. And it would be very difficult for the untrained eye to catch a counterfeit pin that was intentionally copied versus the real one. Right? Are you tracking with me? I mean, when people kept saying, oh, that's a fake pin, I'm like, why would anybody take the time and energy to fake a Disney pin and then it doesn't even look like it's the real pin? That never made sense to me. And I realized, okay, it's the quality. It was rejected for its quality, but yet, just like shoes and clothes and almost anything else that we can purchase, there is another market for items that were supposed to be sold by the original intender, and yet they we're not, but we can still purchase them. The world is very small. Maybe 20 years ago, it was harder to find these avenues, but they probably still existed. With the internet and global shipping, yeah, these avenues definitely exist. Does that make them bad? I don't think so. What I noticed for myself and what I see, a lot of kids, even some adults, they're just looking for pins that they like. They're just looking for something cool. And there's something exhilarating about having a pin that, you're okay about, but you trade it for a character that you really love. Or, maybe there's a movie and you're trying to collect. They don't even have to be in the same set, but you see characters from a movie that you really love, and there's multiple sets that they're in. But we'll get more into these sets in a minute. Because there has been 25 years of pin trading, what I have personally seen on the boards at Disney World, I've found Disneyland pins. I have found Tokyo Disney pins. I've found Shanghai Disney pins. I have found pins. We don't read all the backs of ours, but I think the oldest set that I've seen personally is 2008. There's a lot of pins out there. And that doesn't mean that they're bad or they're fake. It's just that they're old and they've probably been removed from the boards, but yet they make it back into circulation. There's some old pin sets that we've been collecting that we really like. My daughter loves the villains. There's some high-heeled shoes that are villains. And there's princess that are high-heeled shoes as well, which I have a few of those. The bowling pins, those are all villains. So it's more about collecting what you enjoy versus trying to find a set of something. Now, if you are very particular, there are lots of people who will go into the parks, buy up a lot of blind bags, and then sell them to you double the cost. I've seen that. Those Haunted Mansion pins that we saw in September, they were in little blind boxes, kind of like the villains, but we decided to go with the villain set instead of the Haunted Mansion set. They were 2 pins for $22.99. And we didn't want to start both sets. The villains are still being sold in the parks. You can still find those around. The Haunted Mansion blind bags were completely gone by the end of October when we were there, which I should have figured, oh yeah, duh, Halloween, everybody's collecting Haunted Mansion, anything. And they're constantly coming out with new sets. Now let's talk about these wave pins. These are little blind bags. There's 2 pins in them. They are currently $22.99. Not saying that the price isn't going to go up, because the prices always seem to go up. And you don't know what's inside them. I was reluctant to purchase these pins until I understood what was going on. They're called wave pins because they came out in waves. Ta-da! There's the pink bag, it's a little silver bag and it's got the pink castle on it. And there's the blue bag, which has the blue castle on it. So you had wave A and wave B, and I can't remember which is which. You can't even find a list of these, what these pins look like. They do have a book of them behind the counter at most locations that sell pins. And that's what we had to look at. And I have pictures here. So these pins came out first to the cast members. They were only on the cast members and they were only put on the boards. You could not find them in the stores to purchase. And then they came out for purchase. These pins do have the little Mickey diamond on the back. If you're trading with a cast member, they might do a blind trade and they'll say, I'll trade you diamond for diamond. That's what they're looking for. Or if you people trade, as somebody asked, do you people trade? And I will always trade with somebody. Some people will only trade for certain sets, which is totally understandable. Like if you're there for your family vacation and you bought your kid a bag of the ducks, well then the kid's wanting to get all of the ducks, or the trash cans. I don't necessarily collect ducks or trash cans, so I wasn't really any help to these kids that were looking for these specific pins. I did have some not Disney pins, but they were Stitch, and I thought they were really cool. And I purchased them on purpose because I found them at Lakeland. And I'll have another video for you about our pin trading extravaganza. But I found these pins at Lakeland. I thought they were cool. There was a little girl who saw my pins and she asked me, she's like, I want this Stitch pin. And I'm like, this is not a Disney pin. I want you to understand that. This is not a Disney pin. She's like, I don't care. I want it. I found some pins at from Shanghai Disney and Tokyo Disney that were so cool. And a kid even traded me one. It was a Jack Skellington and Zero. And I mean, it's huge and it's awesome. And I don't know where he got it from, but whatever pin I had that he wanted, he asked me if I would accept that pin. And I'm like, sure, that's a great pin. I'll take that. So I'm not really particular. I'm pretty much like whatever I like. I don't have a lot of sets that I'm trying to get, but it's kind of nice to be that way or to look for an older set that you're more likely to find on the board, or even a specific character. My daughter loves villains. She loves Cheshire Cat. She loves anything that is Wonderland. So that's kind of the pins that she's always looking for, and they don't necessarily have to be in a set. If it's something that she likes, or if it's in a Wonderland set and she doesn't really like the pin, she won't grab it. So it really just kind of depends on what you're trying to do. But I think that's the stage that I would set for my kids. My son just wants to trade for anything that's cool, and he'll find this pin that's really super cool, and then the next board he'll find something that's more cool and he'll trade the pin that he just had to have for the pin that's there. And I think it really is just kind of that. It's just that energy, of going to a pin board and finding something that you just really enjoy and trading it for something that maybe you don't care about anymore, or something that you got that was like, I like it, but if I see something better, I want to trade for that. And it doesn't matter where it came from. And it doesn't matter if it's an old pin set. I've got a D23 pin that I got. I don't even know where I got that one from, but a cast member goes, oh my gosh, I would not trade that pin if I were you. I think it was Henry from the Country Bears. And he goes, he is my favorite Country Bear. But he told me, he goes, hang on to that one. That ended up being a D23 pin. That was probably one that didn't make quality, because my friend had this D23 pin. So I put them side by side and you can kind of see they are a little different. Not so much different that looking at it by itself you wouldn't notice, but if you put it next to one that we know came from D23 because she's a D23 member and she got it in the D23 gift bag or whatever she purchased, then you can tell that the pin that I have probably didn't make quality. So is pin trading something that you should start? Maybe not right away. I mean, I like the idea of pin trading for my kids, especially. Like, I'm thinking back to times when we made that once in a lifetime trip and they were a little older. A couple of them were older and we were really there for the younger one. Or you're bringing older kids and you're like, okay, they're not totally into characters, or they won't admit that they're into characters, but they really want to meet some of their characters. Pin trading is a pretty good pastime. If you have to come to Disney and it's that high peak travel time, like the week of Thanksgiving or the weeks between Christmas and New Year's, spring break, Easter, even sometimes in the summer, it gets really ridiculously busy, but I don't think it got as busy this summer in the past couple of summers as it has been during those holiday seasons. And if you have kids like I do that can get overstimulated, giving them something to micro focus on is very helpful. And my kids, we can't do electronics very well. We don't handle electronic stimulation. That makes it worse. So giving them pins to focus on has been helpful. Also, if you've got younger kids and you give them spending money, do we really need another stuffy? Do we really need that toy that they are going to break in a week, or maybe even break it while you're still there at Disney? Like, I've had that happen. Kid spent like $50 on something he just had to have, and I think it was broken in a day or two. So I like the idea of pins and giving them some kind of a souvenir and something that they can constantly change, because as you probably know, if you take your kid through any kind of store with a toy aisle, they see something, they're like, oh my gosh, I just have to have this. And then they walk a few feet down the aisle, they're like, oh my gosh, I just have to have this. That's one thing that's a benefit for pins, because you can buy a group of pins that they can absolutely love. But when they hit those boards and they see something else, then they can trade it. And it's small. You don't have to worry about extra space in your luggage or carrying a bunch of stuff home. And I did find, I'm going to show you this. I bought these off of Amazon, and there's a set of 3. But look how pretty that is. I just kind of put some of them, and I don't even have all my pins. I've got to find another way to do this. I really liked these, but I just bought one set to see how I would put it on there and what it would look like. But these are just some of my favorite pins, and there's nothing here that is really in a set. These are just characters that I like. I don't know where this came from, but I just thought it was really pretty, that cameo looking. This is a Shanghai pin. I like Marie, and I have not seen the Siamese cats. And so when I found that pin, I was like, oh yeah, there's Marie again. I love Paris. Now there are a set of these. I don't know if I can find them all. I think there's only 5 or 6. And then of course we do have Cheshire. I love Cheshire. And then I've got Pain and Panic. My daughter got really mad at me because I traded a kid for this one. That's the one in that icon set that she really wants. But I've got Pain and Panic and then one of Hades there. And I don't know where that's from either, but that's really cool. I do know that this is a Shanghai pin, and there is a teapot. So you have all these princesses that are teapots, and then their sidekicks are cups. I didn't like the teapot, so I didn't want to buy the teapot, but I did like that. We've got Rafiki. This is a set, a flying set that I purchased at Disney, and I wanted to keep the carpet, but the rest of them went. Like, people were like, oh yeah, I like that one. As a matter of fact, I think I got the Pain and Panic from somebody who wanted something in the flying set that I didn't care about, but I kept the carpet. Just some fun stuff. And this one, I saw somebody with a ton of these, and I just love that. I love the balloons. Balloons make me happy. Did you see that? I did a short. Balloons do make me happy, and I love that it's attached to the castle. So just some fun with pins. And then display boards. We bought a couple of different display boards, and I will put those on my Disney finds list that I have in the description box below, and you can go and look for things to display your pins. I like these. And then I just have them set up on little display boards. See, these came in a set of 3. So we have a little one, and I don't know where that one came from. I found that on a board. Just fun pins. This one I did purchase. This is Walt, the Dreamer statue. I purchased that, and this was from my Keys to the Kingdom tour. But I love these World Showcase pins, so I got to fill those in. And then of course you saw my big one. So there's 3 of them there. They came in a set. I think it was like $17. I don't necessarily want to buy more of those, so I got to figure something else out. Now that I understand the wave pens, I do like those. And I think we ended up buying 3 bags each of wave pens. It's just the excitement of it. The excitement of opening up a blind bag. I mean, we've had that forever, right? Baseball cards, trading cards of some kind, those bubblegum cards, remember those? That opening up the blind bag and just seeing what you get, there's a thrill in that. And you can collect one full line, like I have the D pins. I saw a lot of the bubble wands on the boards, and I didn't know what they were, but I do kind of like those bubble wands. So when I go back, I may see what's on the boards and trade for the bubble wands, because they looked fun. Another term that not everybody understands is this chaser. So a chaser pin, I always thought it was a pin that was not colored in, and I'm like, why would anybody want that? And a lot of times the chaser pins were that just kind of metal pin with no coloring in them. I've got a few here, but that's not necessarily the case. The chaser pin means that it is less commonly found in the blind bags than the other pins in the set. And then in those wave pins, every row has a chaser pin, and then there's a super chaser, which makes it more rare. And I can't remember the ratios that they told us they were, but I just know that the chasers are going to be harder to find in a blind bag, and the super chasers are going to be even more difficult to find in a blind bag. Not impossible, because they are out there. It's just there's not as many of the chasers and the super chasers as there are the rest of the sets. And as far as this diamond on the back thing, first of all, that's not a mark that a counterfeiter is not going to be able to recreate. So I don't quite understand how the ones that are rejected are not going to have that diamond on the back, unless after the quality inspection that diamond was added later somehow. It makes sense that it would be added afterwards. It's not something that I really care about. We enjoy pin trading. I understand if people don't quite know, and when they show up at Disney World or anywhere in Disney and they're told, oh, only the diamond pins are real pins, which is a load of garbage because 25 years of pin trading. I think people are getting ate up about this pin trading thing. And if you want to buy pins for your kids and they just enjoy trading the pins, then I think it's a really good pastime for them, something to keep them busy and occupied. If you've got some kid that's just always got to go, pin trading is something that can keep that child busy and occupied when everybody else needs to just slow down and take a break, We had a really good time pin trading, and I do have a video coming up soon, so please watch that. I hope that you found this video helpful, and let me know, is pin trading something that you're considering for your kids? I'm telling you, instead of buying those toys that they're gonna break or bringing home another stuffy, I was thinking about this on my trip. I was like, man, if we would have done this for our kids back in the day and said, hey, let's buy pins instead. I'm just thinking of, extra suitcases and stuff that we almost couldn't get home. You've been there. But do you have any questions about pin trading? I wanted to cover as much as I was confused on as possible. So if you have any other questions, just let me know in the comments and I will do my best to answer them. Maybe I'll even do another video on clarification on pins. But thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this. Don't forget to like, subscribe, send this video to a friend that might be interested in pin trading, or maybe is taking a trip with their family and they have already expressed, we don't need any more toys, we don't need any more stuffies, we don't need any t-shirts, but I know we're going to buy all this crap. Hey, look at pins. Thanks. We'll see you soon.